And that's why I keep calling all the time. I keep calling and talking to the Senator, Russell. I keep telling him, listen, the government is failing because they need to enforce. They need enforcement and they need collection.
I agree with you. Now, here's the thing I want everybody listening to understand. Enforcement and collection is not done by the legislature.
No,
I'll repeat it again. Enforcement and collection is not done by the legislature. The executive branch has to go out, enforce, and collect.
Pointing fingers.
No. Let's point fingers where they belong. I ain't afraid to point fingers. If it's your job, it's your job.
No, we're not pointing fingers. Okay, since you bring that point up, when the financial team went before the legislature, and to balance the budget, they had the opportunity to line item all that money.
And they have it right now. Let's not forget.
Instead, they gave it the whole lump sum to them.
Valid criticism as far as I'm concerned, yes. That's a valid criticism. In these times, you can't just be giving away a bag of money. It's got to be assigned to task.
I'm waiting to see when they come back again, if they're going to give them that lump sum again.
I, too, am waiting just like you.
Because if that happens, my son, I'm going to tell you, all of them need to run out of tongue. And you know, it'll hurt me now to hear anyone, you or Clark or Russell or you know, anyone saying things like leader. What leader? They're not my leader. They'll be just because a machine...
Aren't you a Virgin Islander? The leaders of the Virgin Islands.
They can't be, no. They can't be my leader. Believe me.
Hey, Carla. Let me go to the next caller and call back, if you may.
Yes.
I like having a conversation.
But I will say I felt that way about George Bush for 8 years, and it never stopped him from taking the lead in some painful things.
Okay, so thanks for calling. Call back later.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. You on the air? Good morning.
Senator Russell is not on the show today?
He will be.
He'll be here in a few.
Okay, because I really wanted to let him know that I think he should perhaps...
Say again, please?
Drop the idea about the proposal he had in regard to forming a sixth convention, because of the reaction that I am reading and hearing. It appears to me that the delegates of the Fifth Constitutional Convention don't want any kind of assistance. They don't want any interference. And in my opinion, they are letting their arrogance and their egos cause them to take this negative approach and to appear defiant. They have this attitude, seems to me, that this constitutional document belongs to them only, and they don't want anyone to make any constructive criticism. They don't want the delegates to Congress get involved. They don't want senators get involved. So leave them alone and let they resolve the problem. Let they on their own figure out what to do.
Well, listen, I'd like to ask you to stick around and call back on the Constitution. We're trying to get a little bit more on the budget, but I will say this. You can't fully leave it alone. The Constitutional Convention was created by the legislature, and it needs to be addressed as to what they do next, because the law as written doesn't address them doing anything else. So that has to be done. Now, what form or all that, let's talk about in a minute. And please, when we talk about it, let's try to be objective and not assign motives, because, I mean, people would assign motives to you, they assign motives to me.
I don't care if I assign whatever motive, but I heard a conversation with one of the delegates that was so rude, calling to Doc Peterson and chastise him on his own radio program. And that tells me, based on that, it's not going anywhere. And so just let them be. It's a rare opportunity they're getting from the United States Congress to go and fix up the mistakes that they made. And it's up to them. I mean, I don't think really...
I'd like to correct you. Congress did not give them that opportunity. That opportunity must come from the legislature. Let's remember that.
What about the joint resolution?
The joint resolution does not address Section 2, which gives the responsibility to the legislature. The joint resolution talks about everything else except the legislature's responsibility to decide how a constitutional convention moves forward. In all the resolutions in a previous modification, it never addressed the issue.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the joint constitution identifies 9 areas that need to be addressed, and it's asking for the delegates to reconvene.
No, and it doesn't, and that's what I'm pointing out.
It does not say?
No, Section 2 is not modified. Section 2 goes back to the original enabling law that says...
resolution saying that urging the 5th Constitutional Convention to reconvene and reconsider?
It does not change the
joint resolution.
It's saying that needs to happen, but the person or the body that determines how that happened has never changed. Representative Delegate Christensen, who was a part of that resolution, acknowledged the same thing last Saturday. She acknowledges that Section 2. No, let's not change the subject. She said she acknowledged that Section 2 leaves the responsibility with the legislature, and once the legislature acts to enable, then all these new resolutionary elements kick into place. But until the legislature acts, no change has been made.
I'm trying to understand, because what you're saying is very confusing. You're telling me there is not a joint resolution from the United States Congress.
No, I'm not telling you that.
Well, that's what I'm telling you.
But I'm pointing out that joint resolution does not change the responsibility and authority of our legislature, which it originally created. It doesn't change that.
To insert in this 6th convention, there's no need to have that's why it was called a 6th convention, including...
Who called it that?
That's what I heard on the radio by one of your co-hosts.
Okay.
The word 6th convention was used on the news.
Maybe 5.5. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's really important.
Okay.
I think the significance
but the point I'm trying to make is this. Let the delegates reconvene without the senators getting involved.
That's your position, and that's what we've been soliciting. You're not the first.
My position?
You're not the first person to suggest that, and we are taking all that into consideration.
I thought it was a good idea in the beginning, until I am reading the responses from delegates, and none of them so far, except maybe one who, well, he's sort of ambivalent about it, but from most of them that have been vocal, they all flatly refuse to have the legislators involved in that process.
Well, they really can't prevent it, but we will take your consideration, your position under consideration.
He needs to rethink it, because it seems like it's not going anywhere.
Well,
okay, that's all I'm saying.
Well, your position is heard, and if you'd like to engage with the senator when he comes on, please call back and see if we can get to some more budget talks.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. How's everybody doing this morning?
We're doing fine.
I wanted to weigh in on what the gentleman was saying earlier about the EDC. Now, when you look at the last time we had a budget crisis, the budget was $560 million in the Turnbull administration. We had a $160 million shortfall. That was like 2002, 2003. At that time, we couldn't make that 560. Because of the EDC company, we were able to make that 560. Not only make the 560, but bring the budget to 840 or 60 million, where it was when Turnbull left office. When you look back at what's going on now with this recession, you look at corporate income taxes and you look at personal income taxes, both are down $100 million. That is because, one of the reasons because the recession, but the other reason is because we've lost so many of those companies that were making large donations. What people don't realize is even though some people pay 10% of their income taxes, of their tax liability, so to speak, that's a lot of money if you're making $90 million, if you're making $100 million a year, or what have you. And when you add those companies together, it's a considerable contribution to the tax base of the Virgin Islands, a corporate income tax base. Well, now we're in a recession. A lot of people have this idea, well, we have to kill the businesses. we must also remember the businesses of the Virgin Islands are the ones that pay the taxes of the Virgin Islands to make the government run. The government don't generate any money. We can't print money like the U.S. Mint. So while we have to be careful, yes, we have a lot of money out on the streets, and the money was on the streets before, we still have to be careful that we don't kill the golden goose that's actually providing all of these government jobs and a lot of stuff that we have in this community. What we have to do is make sure that we prime the business pump to make sure that we're making it viable and easy for, let's say, new business opening up and especially attracting new business from our island. Now, in the last 2 years, we've seen the EDC applications deplete to almost zero. And now we're starting to see companies that are coming back up and looking to set up business in the Virgin Islands, which is a great sign. The sign of the recession in America is coming to an end, and people are regaining confidence in our program. We have to realize that when companies are looking for places to relocate, they look at energy, they look at education, they look at proximity to transportation, your infrastructure as far as your telecommunications, your internet. A lot of those things we're not doing stellar on. And trust me, states now are paying for companies to come and set up, do the training, provide the employees, and even subsidizing work in order to attract new business to them. That's what we're in competition with it on a national scale. On a global scale, we're competing with China and India, the new big tiger, who you could get engineer for $25 a day, $30 a day, when we asking $30, $40 an hour. Where our whole economy is transitioning, and when you look at it, we need to be attracting a higher level of worker, training people up, because we move into a service industry, not in here alone, in the States. We have a tremendous opportunity with this broadband coming in, take advantage of the capacity of bandwidth we're going to be having to open up new technology companies and expose the Virgin Islands to a whole new realm of new money and new business. We need to start now doing that. We need to start creating these tech companies and investing and reinvesting in our education process, because in the end, what's going to count is our ability to attract new companies using our human resource.
I agree with you wholeheartedly that that's something that has to be considered. I will say this, and I want people to listen. What you have described calls for serious leadership, okay? You can't play around. If you're going to develop Virgin Islands talent, you can't dilly-dally. You got to go in and improve our schools, okay? Because that's our natural resource. We don't have gold or oil, but we have bright people, bright kids. I just was in a school, 3 schools this week, and I saw some young people who need to be developed to make this place much more viable in the economy of not just today, but of the future. So I hope as you take that position, you look around at leadership prospects and see which, if any, of them would be responsive to that vision, because that's a vision I share with you. We need to move the Virgin Islands forward.
I think we do. The leadership prospect is one thing, but we have to find leadership quality and initiative within each of us in the Virgin Islands. I think we identify ourselves as being incapable of doing anything on a personal level. We have to do a little bit to help. We keep looking for somebody. Is like what Obama said, we are the people we've been waiting for. And I think a lot of us need to turn around and really look at what we could do. I mean, the leadership, is going to be able to do something, and we definitely have to have leaders who create situations where an environment for growth. But we in our own personal selves have to find something and start doing our little bit for this country too.
You know,
call out some suggestions for folks to consider so they can get a better picture of what you're talking about.
One of the things that I think that people need to do is mentoring those of us who are in positions and stuff. You know, who are you creating in the Virgin Islands? We eat our young. Instead of encouraging our young people to go forward, we breed negativity into them and tell them there ain't nothing there. There's a lot of opportunity in the Virgin Islands. People coming here every day and making money, contributing to your school and going and seeing where you can help. I know a lot of us have made it in life now, and we send our kids to private school, but look back to the public schools. What can you do there? Our community foundation organizations, whether it's money, personal time, or whatever, that's what we need to do. Your own spiritual positivity. Stop speaking down the island, especially saying, Croix. Talk about what we can do instead of what we can't do. Talk about what's happening instead of what's happening. And I think through that way, we could create an era of positivity that